It's Friday, March the 18th, and I decided to take today as a vacation day. Not because it's the last day of spring break, not because the weather's beautiful and we're having a bit of a spring thaw, but because today is the first day that Apple has put their Mac Studio on sale. I tried getting one online, and we're basically looking at 2 months, and in some cases, depending on the configuration, you're looking at up to 3 months to be able to get the Mac Studio M1 Ultra, and I'm just talking about the base model. I live in an area where there's about 5 Apple stores locally, and I hooked up with my local business team at the Upper Canada Mall here in Newmarket. And I said, look, I'd really like to get one of these machines once they become available for sale. I'll make sure I'm there first thing. Can you help me out? And so I got up early, got there several hours ahead of time, and I got a call and they said, good news and bad news. The good news is we've got M1 Ultras, but we don't have any at this location. So a big thanks to the business team at Upper Canada Mall in Newmarket, because I do have Mac Studio M1 Ultra with 64 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. And the reason why I have one is they saved me some time. They called around the local stores. They called around Markville, Yorkdale. I think there's about 5 or 6 stores in my local area, in the Greater Toronto area. And they said, look, there's one at this location and it's Yorkdale. And so I went down to Yorkdale, drove down, and I was able to pick it up. And a special thanks to the folks at the Yorkdale store too, because I left my glasses at home. I couldn't read anything. I split payments. I bought the studio monitor as well. That's upstairs. And I decided to pay for that on one card and this on my US dollar account. It didn't work out. Due to the fraud protection, the credit card companies go, this is not a normal purchase. So they sent me a text message. I couldn't read it, so I figured I'll just call them up. I called up the bank and they said, yeah, we don't see any problems. A few minutes later, I finally read the text message and holding the phone all the way out, and it said, yeah, if this is a real purchase, type yes, and everything worked out. So I'm really excited. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what it looks like inside. The box is actually very heavy. I'm amazed at the weight of this thing. It just feels very, very solid, and I bet you inside most of the weight here is related to the computer itself. So let's open it up. Reminds me of the old G4 Cube. Okay, so let's put it down this way here. Oh, there's something I got to open on this side too. No, okay. I got that wrong, so let's try it this way. I think it's a... How do I get open? Oh, there we go. Oh, there it is. So at the top, there's probably some stickers in here and some information to read. I'll take a look at that later. And I'm supposed to open... Oh, that's nice. So it opens up easily. So let's lift. Whoo! It's definitely got some weight to it. Okay, so let's put the manuals down there. Put this down on my table. Power cord is next. So we see we've got a power cord, obviously important. It looks like it's not your standard. What I've noticed is all the cords coming for the latest Macs, they have a sort of like a fabric material on the edge of the power cord. So stepping up the quality of the cords a little bit. And looks like that's it for there. And it says that only you get the Mac, you get a power cord. So I believe that's everything. Let's put it down on the ground here. Lift it like that. So yeah, I mean, people have described this as, you know, a modern G4 or basically 2 MacBook Minis stacked on top. And yeah, I'd say that certainly makes sense. A lot of people have complained that this port here is only UHS 2. It doesn't support the latest standards. That's hogwash. Go to your local camera store, go to B&H, go to Downtown Camera, and try to purchase a card with the latest specs. You're not going to find them out there. Essentially, SD cards are pretty common with most cameras. So are UHS 2 cards, and my Canon R5 supports UHS 2 cards. A lot of the newer cameras also support UHS 2 cards. But when you're starting to move into really fast and professional cameras, like the Canon R5, the R3, the Nikon Z9, they're not going to be using the latest UHS, well, we'll call it 3 for now, the latest standards. They're going to be using CF Express cards. But this port here, this is perfect for my audio because this Tascam records in micro SD cards, so does my drone. So all the audio, I can instantly hook it up here, and that takes care of one card slot. Here I can hook up various different adapters that I need to have hooked up, but a total of 6 Thunderbolt ports. Let's take a look at the back here, and we can see we've got 6 Thunderbolt ports. So these are 4 Thunderbolt ports on the back. We've got a 10 gigabit Ethernet connection power cord, 2 USB Type A, an HDMI, and Pro Audio. I really love that it's got all these extra ports. I had the iMac Pro before, and I liked that. It had 4 USB-C or Thunderbolt, and it had 4 USB Type A. I still have a bunch of drives that still use Type A, so I'm glad to see we have 2 Type A slots, and these will get used. So will these here. From a standpoint of the number of ports on this thing, this M1, I keep calling it an M1, it's actually the Mac Studio M1 Ultra. I'm really excited to try this out. It's a nice box. It is heavy. I watched one review and they said that, you know, if you push a little bit, depending on the desk you're on, it will slide. This thing does have an awful lot of weight. I'll have to see how that works with my table upstairs. I got a wooden table. Wow, this thing is just, it's got a lot of weight to it. I think it's around 8 pounds. It's about 2 pounds heavier than the M1 Max Mac Studio, and that's because it's using copper instead of aluminum, or in North America we have aluminum. So really excited to try this out. Now I want to give you an idea of what I plan to do with this thing. Right after this video, I'm going to go upstairs and edit, and I'm not going to turn this on right away. I'm going to use my standard MacBook Air, quickly get this video published, and then I'm going to slowly take my time to set this up. I got to bring up a lot of my adapters down here, my hard drives. I've also got this little unit here, which I haven't been using. This allows me to use all these various knobs and adapters to be able to edit video, and I've been waiting for this unit here to be able to use this. On my MacBook Air, I've only got 2 ports, so I can't really use this because the ports are always in use. I've either got the CF Express card hooked up, or 2 CF Express cards, or the power card, and I'm really looking forward to trying this out. I did a review of the Tor box a little while ago, and this is going to really help make editing a whole lot smoother. Over the next couple of days, I'm going to try this out. I've got some project files. I did a film last year that's 2 hours long, or pretty close to 2 hours long. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to export it in H.265. It's a 4K video. Most of it's shot in Canon EOS R5, 8K oversample 4K, 10-bit 422, but some of it's shot in 8K footage. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to render it, then I'm going to export it, then I'm going to bring it to the MacBook Air, and I'm going to render it, and I'm going to export it. Then I'm going to bring it into the 2015 MacBook Pro. I know it's an older machine, but I want to give those of you that are still on older Intel-based technology an idea of just how fast the architecture inside this computer really makes a huge difference, especially if you're shooting 4K and 8K video. If you're only shooting 1080p video, if you're shooting the odd 4K video, and let's say you're just using this for family, you're shooting the odd video, you might be putting together a video a month. Maybe these are only 2, 3, 4, or 5-minute videos. And if that's the case, this is really overkill. I'd even say the M1 Max is overkill. And I'd really consider getting this, for example, the MacBook Air. I know this already from what I've been able to do with this. This channel for the last year has been consuming 8K and 4K video off the Canon EOS R5, producing several hundred videos for this channel, and it's done a pretty good job. My only issue is time. And I know this isn't cheap, neither is the studio display. But for me, as I said in a previous video, what's most valuable to me, especially at my age, is time. Time is very, very important. And having the double encoding cores for 8K, ProRes for 4K video, having double the amount of cores is really going to make encoding so much faster. At least that's what I believe. And from some of the tests I saw yesterday, I think that's going to be the case. So over the next couple of days, I'm going to do some testing. By Sunday, or maybe even Monday or Tuesday at the latest, I want to put out a video with my first test using a 2-hour video, as well as using a 20-minute video, and showing you how long it takes to actually render out and export using these new machines compared to the M1 MacBook Air, which is the 7-core version, 8 gig of RAM. It's compared to this thing here, I mean, this thing is on steroids. 1 terabyte SSD, 64 gigs of RAM. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, why didn't I get the 128? Why didn't I get more storage? Well, the reason I didn't get 128 is while I plan to be doing 8K video, I don't really plan to be doing a lot of really long videos in 8K. And based on my experience with the MacBook Air, being able to do 4K, I'm sure that this system will do perfectly well with 64 gigs of RAM. And of course, that was an extra $500 or so. And so I thought, you know, for where I am at this point in my life, with the channel where it's at, this makes the most sense. And the thing to really remember is my channel isn't about computers. It's not about Macs. It's about cameras, camera news and rumors. It's about gear, doing gear reviews on cameras, try that again. It's about doing gear reviews on cameras, lenses, and accessories related to filmmaking. Not so much even photography. But when it comes to editing video, especially with cameras like the R5, where we've got 8K RAW, we've got 8K oversample 4K, and a lot of these new cameras coming out are doing 8K 60. And the Red V-Raptor, 8K at 120 frames per second. Having a machine that can easily edit makes a huge difference. So why did I only get 1 terabyte of storage? Well, the reason was very simple. Most of my storage is external. I don't have it down here, but I have several 4 terabyte SSDs. I have one by Angelbird, which is super, super fast. Minimum sustained write speed of 1300 megabytes per second. And I can edit on that so much faster than I can on a Samsung Evo. It's much more durable. That thing's going to last me probably at least 10 years. So I can spend less on the storage here, buy better storage externally, hook things up through the Thunderbolt ports. And so when I do look at refreshing this thing, whether that's 3 years, 6 years, or whenever, I don't have to refresh my storage and pay a higher price. Same with video. When I look at refreshing this, I'm probably not going to need to update the video. So I keep my costs down. I'm just upgrading the processing unit and what I need. This is how I got started in video. This is the Amiga 3000. This is from a magazine, Amiga World, dated June 1990. This was the first all 32-bit Amiga 3000, had 32-bit pathways, 32-bit memory, a 32-bit processor, the 68030, and it was a beast. It allowed me to do video. It allowed me to do 3D rendering. If you remember a software package called Lightwave 3D, that was responsible for doing all the animations in Babylon 5. I was really excited, and then I moved into a Toaster 4000, and what amazed me by the Amiga was the architecture. It was using Motorola, it was using the 68030, but it had custom chips. Long before most computers even know what custom chips or even GPUs were, it had a chip dedicated to sound, I/O, and many other different functions. And they call them like Denise, Paula, Ramses for the RAM controller. It was truly exciting. And now when I look at this computer here, and this is whether you like Linux or Windows or whatever you like, just the architecture. Just think about this. 117 billion transistors. 117 billion transistors. And the processor also has 48 graphic cores, 64 gigabytes of RAM. That Amiga came with a base of 4 or 6 megabytes. It's just truly incredible, and it's using that 5 nanometer process. I'm just amazed to hold this in my hands, as heavy as it is at about 8 pounds. This is far more powerful than the supercomputers of the time where that Amiga came out, like the Craze. This is way faster than those supercomputers, and it can do an awful lot more. I'm truly amazed by technology and how Apple, who wasn't in the processor game, this was Intel space. And for Apple to come out with a chip that has kind of caught Intel off guard is completely surprising to me. The barriers of entry to get into chip fabrication is very, very high. The ASML machines that are used are about $150 million each. And it's not like they have a whole bunch of them sitting on store shelves that you could just go in and purchase them. The architecture is just truly amazing. And I want to address one more thing before I sign off here. In previous videos, I always knocked Apple for soldering the SSD onto the motherboard, like in the 2016 MacBook Pro. I was irritated because now if I had a problem with a computer, I lost access to my storage. And if I wanted to upgrade my storage, I couldn't. And I didn't see any potential benefit to me as a consumer. And the same with RAM. Although less so, because at the time 16 gigs of RAM was more than enough. I could get away with that, but the SSD didn't make any sense to me. But with this new ARM 64-bit architecture, having the RAM, the GPU, and the processing cores all on a system on a chip, on a separate, and with two dies, two M1 Maxes fused together as they are in this computer here, it makes sense to me. I'm willing to sacrifice that level of upgradability because I truly do have an appliance here that is a powerhouse when it comes to 8K or 4K video. But my future videos will help give you an idea of what it's like to edit high bitrate workflow, shooting with cameras like the Canon EOS R5, the R3, the future R1, the Nikon Z9, where you're outputting bit rates of at least 325 megabytes per second, or with the Red V Raptor, where you're outputting at around 800 or 850 megabytes per second. That's right, per second. I'm really excited to test that out. I'm really excited to see what this is going to do for my workflow and how it's going to free back time. Several comments came back to me saying, more or less, you're an idiot. You're only going to save 20 or 30 minutes. But yes, I'm shooting on my lunch break. I've got an hour. If I can save 20 or 30 minutes, that time I can either use for going for a walk, I can use it for eating, I can use it for relaxing, I can use it for whatever I want. I can even use it for taking more time to edit to create better videos. So to me, this is not about cost. It's about the capabilities that I'm able to achieve, but it's a time machine. It's able to give me back more time, and that to me is the biggest capability of all. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. I forgot my thought. What am I going to say? Okay, what was I doing? Talking about video expectations. Oh, why did I get 64 gigs? Okay, why?